He did have a nice little script.
And Mike and I said Guadalajara like 4 times.
Guadalajara. Dylan McDermott, Juliana Margulies.
Our show should do its own version of the movie with like show inside jokes the whole time. And Stugotz just shows up at one point as a talking head. And
DVD
he's like,
commentary.
They're never going to take the sport seriously in America. They've been saying it since 2002.
I was kind of expecting him to pop up in the bit where there's people on the street and it's
I
like,
wanted to.
or it's sort of like, hey, the World Cup is coming. What sport is that? I was kind of expecting Stu to be there.
I wanted to pop up like right behind Landon Donovan and just say soccer's dead. In, out. That's it. I wanted to do that throughout the entire movie. I don't think Meadowlark would have been happy with that.
I learned yesterday soccer died in 1984 in the U.S.
That's when it died.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what the documentary said. It was like the cosmos. Look, 80,000 people, and then boom, no one knows what soccer is.
1984, huh?
We should make our own
Right around there.
LeBatardized version of
Like a director's commentary.
of the movie.
Is it LeBatardized?
I was just thinking LeBatardized version. Does that work?
I don't know that
Director's
would
cut.
be appreciated.
A director's cut.
Who do you not think would appreciate it? Are you
The
afraid?
company as a whole.
John
Yeah,
Skipper.
John
Yeah, it seems like a
Skipper,
lot of money
essentially.
was
Yeah.
thrown into this
Deirdre.
project.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Eve.
seems like this show is making a lot of money for the company, and this show likes to rub against the authority.
Now you're talking, Dan
remind them where
LeBatard.
the bread is buttered, Billy.
Director's cut. How would that go? Because I didn't think that Stugotz was paying much attention yesterday. I saw him looking at the snacks that Hildy had put out.
I turned to you when they said high noon, and I said to you, high noon. I mean, you say high
He was
noon,
texting
I'm
me,
in.
He was
glued.
texting me about Shep Messing. That honestly is like
Shep.
for me a win. I got Stu to pay attention.
Shep Messing, the only soccer player other than Pele that Stugotz has ever mentioned on this show, was somehow talking in the documentary.
That is unfair. I have mentioned Giorgio Canaglia,
He
one of
does.
the all-time greats for the
Yes,
Cosmos.
he was.
Franz Beckenhauer or something like that.
Beckenbauer.
That's fine.
Beckenhauer,
I like-
Beckenbauer,
I like to call
doesn't
him
matter.
baking powder.
Yep, and Steve Jungle. I mean, one of the all-time greats. Seriously.
We should mention that we're talking about Good Rivals, the Meadowlark Media co-produced documentary that airs on Amazon Prime Video.
Yes, thank you, Jeff Bezos.
Next Thanksgiving.
What were your takeaways?
Wait, this Thanksgiving.
This Thanksgiving,
We're not
yeah, I
doing
meant-
this
I meant to
whole
say
thing
Next
again.
next Thursday.
I
That's
have
what
a
I meant to say.
I was confused about this. Is it coming out at midnight on Thursday or midnight on Wednesday going into Thursday?
Wednesday going into Thursday.
Really? So like Thursday morning I wake up and it's like boom, soccer, parade, or dog show.
It's a Thanksgiving miracle. You're going to get quality documentary work about a really interesting story, by the way. I missed it because I had to record Basketball Illuminati yesterday, but I have seen the trailer, and the trailer got me excited at the part where I can't remember whether it was...
Why? Let's
Was it
just stop right
Chicharito?
here. Why are you the one that's breaking it down when you're the only person in the room that hasn't seen
well,
it?
I'm breaking down a trailer. It's a
Oh.
completely different thing.
I
They're
love
always
breaking
good, though.
down a trailer.
Yeah, but they're always good trailers, right?
They're awesome.
Love a trailer.
Yes.
Good trailers. Chicharito, I think, is the one who's saying we don't play road games. And I was like, that's such a badass line, man. That's a badass line. So I don't give a damn where we play. It's a home game for us because they're just
Goosebumps, yeah.
Oh man, goosebumps, absolutely. Which is funny because I don't think of Mexico as Mexico as a, because yesterday people were like, well, you pronounce Qatar right, but why didn't you pronounce our neighbors to the south correctly? And I said, you know what, you're right. So from now on, I'm saying Mexico because that's the name of the country, not Mexico. Because
I mean, it's a very slippery slope.
Why?
Are we going to say like Deutschland now
right?
too?
You say Deutschland, then you're
Alemania.
saying España, then you're
Yeah.
saying, and now all of a sudden,
France.
like you've
France.
completely lost the
France,
plot on
France,
how to
France.
say anything.
I don't
Italia.
think. I don't
Canada.
yeah.
You of all people is a strange person to be correcting him on that.
No, I mean, look, everyone draws their line somewhere,
Yeah.
and so
I have no lines. No
So
lines.
like
Usually it's in the sand.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at LeBatard Show. When you're drawing a line, is it usually in the sand?
But everyone sort of has to figure out their point at which they pronounce with accents. They pronounce in the native tongue. So I mean, you can spend all day trying to get to the place where you're pronouncing, the Spanish Z with a th. theta.
Or-
Like you can do that for as long as you want.
Or
But
Fabo?
you're never gonna get it all right.
But
Jose Maria.
Amin is a native Arabic speaker, so I don't know why people would get on his case for trying to pronounce Qatar.
No,
I don't understand
they
that.
accurately pointed out that there are other countries that we do this to, and I, as a principal, said we shouldn't do that. We should not do that. I think there's a difference between Deutschland and Mexico, right? In the case of
I'd say
Mexico,
big
it's
difference between the
spelled. Thank you. It's spelled right there. Read it as it's written, as opposed to Germany. It's written differently, right? Like it's in a completely different words or letters in the word. So I feel comfortable saying Spain because it's spelled S-P-A-I-N, not E-S-P-A-N.
But we changed the name of the country to suit our way of like. We should probably just call it España. We should probably call it Argentina. We should probably call it Paraguay. We should probably go on and on and on and on.
Argentina's the one I don't give a shit.
Let him keep going.
To
He
hell
loves
with-
it. He's showing off right now.
No, to hell with
He
Argentina.
really is.
Keep going, Woody. I mean,
Argentina, I thought you
The
were
hell with
pandering
them.
to the Hispanics.
I was.
thought with Mexico you were just pandering to Miami.
No, I'm pandering to the people of the great nation of Mexico. But what I will not pander to is those filthy, filthy Argentines. Get out of here. Go away.
seems-
Hey, Falklands? Yeah, take that L. Hold that L. You know what? If you're Argentinian and you're listening to this podcast and you're like, how dare he? Like, I dare it. I
Fuck
dare it.
you. Yeah.
Spicy Wednesday. Oh my God.
Wait till the World Cup
Thank you.
starts. Wait till the World Cup starts. I never finished my list yesterday of objectives in watching a World Cup. 1, Brazil winning. 2, Argentina losing. 3, 2 was any nation from the African continent. 3, Argentina losing. 4 and 5 are tied. It's utter embarrassment for U.S. and for England. Oh my God!
What?
I was thinking about this on the walk here today. You know who England is?
Who?
England are the Knicks. They won once a long time ago, and they won't stop reminding you of it. And they always think this is their year. Bums.
They've come close though. haven't
Bums.
they? Harry
Bums.
Kane. I mean,
Bums.
You're gonna be anti-American.
my wife
during,
thinks he's hot.
Always.
I mean,
during the World Cup.
Always anti-U.S. men's national team. U.S. women's national team, I'm here for it.
Wait a
Support
minute.
them.
No.
Yes.
No.
Always.
No.
Wait a minute.
no.
Yes.
That's
No.
not how it works.
That's
I'm
exactly
sorry.
how it works.
You 100% can do that.
The line is
Thank
drawn
you.
in the sand. You're supporting a country, men and women. There's no
Nope.
discrimination here.
No. There is discrimination. That's why I'm counteracting it.
There you go.
See?
Makes
Balance
sense.
it.
I don't like it.
It's only toward the men, though, right?
Yeah.
I still don't know. I actually don't know Amin's origin story for hating the U.S. men. You've been doing this on Twitter for as long as I followed you, and I don't know why. Why do you hate the U.S. men's national team?
Everything about it is dumb. It's dumb. Oh, I believe that we will win. Think about that stupid ass chant. I believe that we will win. Like most countries sing these songs of glory and battle and like and I believe. Like I'm not sure, but I believe. Oh, get out of here with your insecure. We don't really like this sport, but we want to like this sport ass. Get out of here. You know what the chant is in Sudan for Sudanese soccer? It's Betul Berard Sudan his ard. Length, width, Sudan shakes the earth. We haven't won shit.
Damn.
We shake the
That's
goddamn
how you
earth.
do it. You're right.
We shake the
That's
earth.
so much cooler.
I think we're gonna win.
We might be able to get to the semifinals.
Semifinals.
Sounds like an extends
We
commercial.
talking about winning the game. Playoffs. I want to win in the game.
Amin still hasn't finished his trailer breakdown of Good Neighbor.
Oh,
Good
Chicharito.
Rivals either.
We don't play road games. You know how that's another reason. Think about that. You know how low you have to be the richest nation and all these facilities and stuff, and like we're putting billions of dollars into having the infrastructure, and these people come in and say, yeah, we don't play road games. I'll come into Columbus and we'll sell that shit out with our people. That's badass, man.
But they didn't in the movie.
Well,
they
don't
didn't?
spoil the end of part 1. We only saw part 1.
I thought it was a one-part movie. I learned yesterday. I go, man, this movie, the ending of this sucked.
Cliffhanger.
There was
You
no
have no idea
closure
what
here
happened, right?
whatsoever.
we were
And we're missing
45 minutes
15
through,
years.
and Billy was like, how are they going to wrap this up? We're only in 1994.
The Extends commercial that Roy sliced in there with a second ago with bigger and wider and we shake the earth. Can we just play again? This is Jimmy Johnson, champion coach, telling you the pills you need to take so that your penis can be bigger.
I'm Jimmy Johnson. No, not the race car driver. I'm the better looking Jimmy.
Hey.
Since I became the spokesperson for Extends, everywhere I go, guys want to know if Extends really works. Well, it works for me. I started taking Extends before I became their spokesperson. With over 1 billion tablets of Extends taken by men of all ages, I was sold, and you should be too. Extends has been the leader in male enhancement for almost 10 years and can work for men regardless of age. Extends is designed to maximize what you already have. It's not about not being enough, it's about being more. If you can be more by simply taking an Extends tablet daily, why not? So remember, Extends does things only one way, really, really big.
If you call now, we'll send you a week's supply of Extends absolutely free. All you pay for is the postage stamp. And we'll also send you an invitation to have dinner with Jimmy Johnson at an upcoming Extends dinner event. Dinner with Jimmy and a free week supply of Extends, all for the cost of a postage stamp. Call now.
I've done additional reporting on this, additional journalism. Yes, he is in that commercial. He is wearing full race car driver gear. And it was initially offered to Terry Bradshaw. Terry Bradshaw, who appeared in a Matthew McConaughey movie and showed you his bare ass. And Terry Bradshaw turned it down. And Jimmy asked, how much are they paying you for that? Or how much were they offering you? And Bradshaw told him, and Jimmy said, I'll do it.
Now, was the race car outfit always part of the gamut? Or when they got Jimmy Johnson, is it, how can we not do this, hit these double entendres of Jimmy Johnson, the race car driver, Jimmy Johnson, the coach?
I didn't do that much reporting. I will continue
Dig deeper, Dano.
It's called a follow-up,
Get your
Dan.
sources
It
into
seems
this.
really confusing. Like they're intentionally confusing the audience. I don't understand that.
It would be like Michael B. Jordan playing basketball. Hi, I'm Michael B. Jordan. Not that Jordan. And then he just shoots a jumper. Like, wait, what are you
Amin's
doing?
friend, Michael B. Jordan.
My good friend.
Did Michael B. Jordan put the B in there so that he wouldn't have to live a lifetime of being in the shadow of Michael Jordan without a B?
Dan, you poor, sweet, innocent child. He didn't do it because I don't want to live in the shadow. He did it because Michael Jordan is very litigious about using his name to sell things. So you
Hang on a second, but you don't have domain over the name Michael Jordan.
change your name, to Michael Jordan.
Michael
find out.
Jordan does.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, but if I was born Michael, you can't tell me to change my name because I
He
was
can.
born Michael
Yes.
Jordan.
Yeah, he can.
And Michael Jordan is a very generic name.
Why would you want the name Michael Jordan? I mean, it should only go to one person at this point. That's it.
I mean,
MJ.
you'd want it because then you're able to profit off of that name. That's why, and that's why he doesn't allow you to do it. Trust me on this one.
Only thing that I heard during the screening of Good Rivals, again, Amazon Prime, Thanksgiving Day, the only thing I heard the entire time as it went back and forth from Spanish to English was Jessica and Mike. The entire time, anytime Guadalajara made an appearance on the show, I had a Lou Dobbs impersonation.
The caravan of mostly Central American immigrants is now in the Mexican city of Oaxaca. Oaxaca.
Did he nail it, Woody?
Our director's cut would have that in it several times, I think.
Well, we found out later that he wasn't actually trying to say Guadalajara. It was some other city. That is not the correct city that he was trying to say. It's a city in Mexico with an X in it. And
Oaxaca, maybe?
Acapulco?
Oaxaca.
Oaxaca.
Wait, play it again. He's
Oaxaca.
no, it's not. No.
There's no that sound. We all guessed it.
no,
We
no,
guessed that
no,
Lou
no,
Dobbs
no,
was
no,
trying to say Guadalajara.
You're doing. We're doing him a. If we try to say Oaxaca, we're doing him a favor by saying it was Guadalajara.
Cancun? What happened? Can I go back to Extends for just a second?
Absolutely.
No.
Jimmy saying that
I
he
never
took it
stopped.
before he was paid to endorse it. That's the key to selling it, right? I don't believe him.
Oh, of course.
But Jimmy said he took it before he
Yeah.
started reading the endorsements. Yes.
Man, I swear
It's
to
a
God.
radio key. It's a radio copy
Absolutely.
key.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
yes.
have to start my morning with fill in the blank. Look, I won't do it with any of our current sponsors because I actually use all of those.
Right.
But like if we had a new sponsor, I'm telling you right now, if you're thinking about sponsoring this show, hit me up. I will sell the hell out of anything. I don't understand people who can't. I had a conversation with a friend of mine last night who is, I guess, a social media influencer, and she turns down products that she doesn't use. Like, I don't use that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, well, I don't use it. How would I? I'm like, just lie. Mm-hmm. It's so easy. Give me a product. Give me any products, Stugotz.
Right guard.
Right guard. Oh my God. I used to go out, play pickup ball, and I would have this funk about me. And I'm like, I'm using the deodorant. It just doesn't work. And you know what my buddy James says to me? He says, you know what you need to use? You need to use Right Guard. I'm like, what's the difference? It's all deodorant, right? It's not. It's not. I'm here to tell you that there are 13 key chemicals and ingredients in Right Guard that makes it longer lasting, better smelling, and also, on top of it, not sticky or itchy under there. I hate the residue some of these deodorants leave. Not Right Guard. Right Guard gets the job done.
I mean, I'm an Old Spice guy.
Yeah.
Old Spice. The word old is in it. Come into the 21st century. Get some Right Guard.
I don't know how you do this. I spent 30 minutes last night on an ad read where I had to editorialize like 2 sentences, and it was.
What was it?
What
was the product?
Can I say what it was?
No, don't say the product. Give me another product. Someone give me anyone in the room. Give me a product. Any product.
iPhone.
Give me
I want to hear Smetty's product.
Preparation H.
Preparation H. Good Lord, Dan. Let me tell you something. I don't know if you guys noticed this. Yesterday, I couldn't sit down. I was standing up in the back there, and you get. Look, it's not an easy subject to talk about. Hemorrhoids. Like, it's not cool. It's not sexy. It has kind of this connotation to it that you're either dirty or just stupid or something like that. But then I got some Preparation H, and here I am. I'm sitting down today. I feel great. It cleared it up like that. And here's the thing about Preparation H. It doesn't have that smell that most ointments do. Like, I'm using medicated stuff. It is clean and clear, and it works super fast. Because my whole thing is, I don't want to be using this stuff. I was about to say using this shit for a week. I want it cleared up quickly. Preparation H. Get it in your local pharmacy or grocery store. Yep. Here's my thing.
I love it.
I'm not saying I don't use any of these things. I'm saying you can give me something that I haven't used, and I can lie.
Yeah, not great. Kaopectate, Roy, is it something that acts exactly like Imodium does? I thought it was more like Pepto-Bismol. I thought it was more like something for indigestion, not something that will make you loosen up and either hold your ability to go to the bathroom or create the flume that allows you to go to the bathroom easier. I think Imodium stops you up, does it not? Imodium stops diarrhea.
Imodium definitely stops you up.
First of all,
not speaking from experience. But.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Kaopectate sounds like the chemical, not is that the brand? That's a brand?
Yeah, Kaopectate is a brand.
It's a brand name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why would you name your brand something that literally no one can spell? When I was at my first job, my first ever podcast that I ever recorded at Sports Illustrated, I was hosting it with my friend Charlotte Wilder. And we were both so excited that we finally this is so cool. We get to do a sports podcast and we're 2 women. And the SI doesn't have any other women doing podcasts really other than Jenny Vrentis. But we felt really cool, finally we get to talk about sports. And then we get to the recording studio on the first day, and they hand us our ad read, and it's for tampons.
Nice, because you're women.
I was like,
you want me to do an ad read for tampons right now?
Had they?
Use them in your entire life.
Kotex Pro.
I don't think they ever made Peter King read those, and it was weird that they gave that to us on our first day.
But that also could be up to the sponsor, right? Like, they're not going to say, "Hey, we need Peter King to read." Product that he doesn't use.
Give me these 2 women no one's ever heard of.
How would you assume that I would use it or Charlotte would use it? That's very presumptuous, I think, to put that out there and be like,
they should have asked you.
You have to read this. Are you comfortable reading a tampon ad read on your sports podcast?
Yeah.
That probably mostly men are going to listen to, let's be honest, demographically.
No, but their math was but the women will listen to this one, and that's why this is someone in sales was high-fiving. Yeah! Sold the tampon commercial.
Look at the female demo that we have. Yeah.
I mean, we were late in arriving yesterday to the end of the Heat game, and I wanted to talk to you about the differences in plus minus between when Bam's on the court and when Dwayne Dedman is on the court, because the numbers are enormous. And the Heat played that game against the Suns. They played only 8 people. The Heat played that as if it was a game that really mattered to the Heat. And at the end of the game, I know the block is what everyone is impressed with because you don't expect Devin Booker in a game-winning situation to get his shot that cleanly blocked with great defense, but I was just as impressed with how Jimmy then did the subsequent defense after that, where Devin Booker, he still could have won the game because those guys are amazing and what they can do. You would have had the situation where Booker would have made a shot against impeccable, beautiful defense because he hit the back of the rim, but I was as impressed with Butler after in the last 10 seconds when he kept closing Booker off and immediately wouldn't let him go to his left to get to an open space. Saw he had the help and just handled that situation impeccably defensively. But you're concerned in general about the Heat's defense, are you not?
So first of all, he played 8 players. That's because Tyler Hero was hurt. Max Strus had to start, and so the guys off the bench were Gabe Vincent, Duncan Robinson, and Dwayne Dedmon. Jimmy Butler, in that last possession, just incredible presence of mind. And Spo talked about in the post-game presser, just he's so goddamn smart. Like, that's the part that I don't think a lot of people think when they watch Jimmy Butler, because obviously he's physically very imposing, but the reality is he's just so goddamn smart.
I mean, the intellect, okay, in the last 10 seconds of the game for what he was doing with his footing by reflex.
He did it perfectly.
It was on Booker, and it's clear that he's got the scouting reports, and it seems like he's doing it instinctually in a spot where a lot of people have to do some thinking because the clock is running down.
Right. He claims it was all like, he said, that's basketball. I wonder if, because here's the thing, every NBA team, or every NBA team worth its salt, has a video guy who is taping the last 2 minutes of every close game of every team in the league. And we call it the end of game tape. And so one of the things that we're reviewing before we go into a game, doesn't matter if it's regular season, playoffs, whatever, is we're watching the hell out of the end of game tape because we want to know what they like to run, where they like to send their guys, and where the guys like to go for their spots. So when I watched Jimmy do that, I was like, that's an end of game tape type play. It's like he's trying to get that elbow. I'm not gonna now, because it's the NBA, you might know it and game plan for it, and the guy still rises up, hit the shot anyway. So part of that is Jimmy's just incredible reaction time and size and all that stuff allows him to block it. But a lot of that is just knowing he's going there, and I'm not gonna let him get there. And then what you're talking about on the sideline for that second shot, I was like, he's gonna try and come back this way. I'm gonna push him back down.
The thing I saw, and I know everyone, so the pictures of the block shot are amazing with 10 seconds left and everything else.
But Booker had a second shot after that. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm not talking about just the second shot. I'm talking about you can't foul in that situation. You cannot allow, and you, so many guys have to think about, I don't want to get too close. I don't want to bump him. I don't want to hit his elbow. And he got right up in him, like wasn't going to allow him to dribble and get to the center of the court. Now, he had the double team there, but the way that he aggressively went at one of the quickest, best offensive players there are in the league and got up into him at the end without fouling him, I was just as impressed by the last 10 seconds as I was by the block.
I think we should stop being impressed with Jimmy just from this standpoint. And I understand what you're saying, but when he got here, I don't think any of us imagined that Jimmy Butler, for this sustained period of time, could be the best guy on a contending team. Well, you did.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's
I'm talking about us.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And he's become that. And he's a good defender. He's a smart basketball player. He's a good offensive player. He's a good distributor. He's a good rebounder. But he's a leader. And I don't think anyone expected him to be such a great leader of a basketball team.
When he came here, I remember saying there's never been a greater fit between culture and a player than Jimmy Butler coming for a player who was not already part of the program. All the things that Jimmy Butler did in other cities that were considered to be toxic and caustic and all that stuff.
Asshole.
Right. Like here it's like, oh yeah, that's what we like to do too. It's a match made in heaven. And including, by the way, that toxicity when it reaches a point where coach and star player are arguing in the middle of the floor and the coach slams the clipboard and the team captain comes out there as the muscle and all that. Like, there are other organizations where we're like, okay, well, something's got to change now. We've lost it forever. And in Miami, it's like, that's a Tuesday. Like, that's important. Offensively, I was thinking about it the other night. I'm watching him like, this dude controls the tempo of the game.
Yes.
Like, everyone's trying to run, and this guy's like, nope, I'm going to walk it down. I'm going right there. I'm going to up fake. You're going to jump, and you're going to foul me, or I'm going to hit this 6-foot shot or 8-foot shot or whatever. And he does it again and again and again and again. It's insane. Bam comes on the podium. He scores 26 or whatever it was and went to the free throw line 14 times, 12 out of 14 on the free throw line. And the first thing he says, like, I was on my Jimmy Butler. Because that's what Jimmy does. Jimmy shoots 10 free throws or whatever it is a game. It really is remarkable. But you asked me about the Heat defense. And I watched that game, and I was thinking to myself, people are going to get swayed or confused by like, big stops and the steals in the fourth quarter. The defense is there. I'm like, it was terrible. A lot of that was Suns offense being either bad or scared, other than Devin Booker. But
Cameron Payne was terrible in that game.
He was terrified.
Yes.
And there was a point where Booker was literally screaming at him, like, move, do something. He's just
scared.
He looks scared out there. He looks scared, like in nut cutting time.
Why would a Phoenix Sun professional basketball player in the last 5 minutes of a regular season game in November be scared?
I can't call it. I mean, first of all, Chris Paul didn't play, so we have to acknowledge that, and that's a big part of their fourth quarter is that having Chris Paul just talk to people and get out of the way and direct traffic. Remember the Richard Jefferson sound from he was talking about Game 7 in the finals? And how he's like, I don't know, but like right now, please don't pass me the ball because I'm not in a place of comfort because we're usually doing something. And so when Kyrie just went ISO, it's like, oh, thank God, right?
But Richard Jefferson was talking about the last few seconds of a
game
finals
7.
game, of a finals game 7. He was not talking about a regular season game against Max Strus.
I think, I think there's an element to it, Dan, of just, this is not how this goes. And just like, I don't, and that doesn't mean, Campaign is a scared player. It's just like in that moment on that day, he looked tentative and didn't want any parts of it. Same thing with Mikal Bridges, who was chirping a lot early in the game. And at the end, he gets past the ball at the top of the three and just, that's a shot he takes a million times and makes a million times. And he's like, he hesitates and he pump fakes. Like, why would you do that? Well, it's because he started doing the math of like, Caleb Martin's closing out. And once you start doing that, and that happens when you're in those moments and you realize what my shot is not gravy, my shot is something that is dependent on in this moment. It's like, well, I don't want that responsibility. That's what they pay him $200 million for. But for the Heat, earlier in that game and throughout the game, they were getting beat on routine stuff where the Suns would run like a cross screen action and the big would slip and another guy would pop. And the two defenders, rather than communicate and say, okay, I'm dropping back, they would both jump like the guy above the three-point line and the big would be wide open for a dunk. And that's just like one example of just breakdown after breakdown after breakdown. And I've said this pretty much since Jimmy has been here. Miami's an execution team. Like, they don't have the talent to be like, roll the ball out, blah, blah, we messed up, but it's all good. We're going to outscore you or just beat you on talent. They are the team that's like, we don't make mistakes. So watching them now make a shit ton of mistakes on both ends for most of their games, that to me is shocking.
I thought they were going to lose that game.
They should have. They did not deserve to win that game.
Down 10 in the fourth quarter, I'm like, they're not going to come back from this. They're a different team, though, when Dedmon's on the court and when Bam is on the court. In a way, the numbers are a bit staggering.
But that game in particular, it wasn't Dedmon. It was everybody. Everybody was just not in tune. They weren't
even Jimmy.
Even Jimmy.
Yeah.
They weren't holding on to the rope, as Spo likes to say. But the good news is they all know it. Like, I was talking to Jeremy after the game, and he said whatever game it was before that. Said he went into the locker room and was, it was a win, and he kind of asked them, like, how are you guys feeling? And they're like, terrible. We're not good defensively. So they know it. Spo mentioned it in his post-game presser as well. So it's not like they're like, well, I don't see what the big problem. They know, not from like the standings or the rankings or our defense rating isn't good. They know it like just execution-wise, we're not doing what we're supposed to do.
Do you have a how or a why? Because usually that's the consistent thing that transfers from year to year with this team. Right. No matter who the players are, the personnel, they're going to be top 5, top 10 in defense. What's the how and the why?
My guess would be, first of all, they're playing small. Caleb Martin is playing the 4. They're a terrible defensive rebounding team.
They look so small against Phoenix.
Yeah.
Because Phoenix are playing a version of small, but Mikal Bridges is way bigger than anyone that the Miami Heat have, right? Like, outside.
He plays bigger, yeah.
Right.
He plays big, yeah.
Jimmy Butler was sort of acting as their 4 in key moments. So it's sort of Strus and Caleb Martin and these guys on the floor, and Bridges just looks flatly bigger than him.
So, how long do you allow that to continue before you start making some changes? If they're that bad defensively because of Caleb Martin?
No, it's not because of Caleb Martin. It's just they are running a lineup that is different from what they've run in the past. Right?
PJ Tucker is that important?
It's not that he's Dan. It's like, think about this: if I have a car and I'm missing headlights. Like, yeah, driving at night is going to be hard. It's like, wait, are headlights that important? Like, not really, but you kind of need headlights. I can hand you, hey, here's another better steering wheel. That's cool. I kind of still need headlights, though.
Well, I don't expect PJ Tucker to make mistakes. Whatever it is that's happening out there, it's not going to be PJ Tucker doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing out there. Caleb Martin might not.
No, but again, I'm not saying that Caleb Martin was making mistakes. It's not like if PJ Tucker was out there, they wouldn't be making mistakes. I think that's just a team thing that they're, for whatever reason, they're not on the same page yet, but they know it and they're going to get to it. But the part where they do miss PJ Tucker is PJ Tucker's a really good rebounder. Like, despite being a small guy, he's a really great rebounder. And right now, whether it's Martin, whether it's Strus, whoever they're running at that spot, those guys aren't great rebounders. They're decent rebounders if they were playing the 3 or the 2. But as a 4, PJ Tucker rebounds like a 4. And those guys don't. And so now you have to have you switch your mentality of, I know we like to leak, but we have to be more concerted on the glass.
If you like to leak, I don't think kaopectate helps with that. I think Imodium does. That's $5.
Yeah. No, it says that you can treat it for diarrhea. So there's that too. But a Pepto-Bismol as well is a good comp.
I wanted to ask the shipping container because Amin mentioned Jeremy Taché.
You don't have 5?
No.
And so it's $6 now.
No. You've gone too far.
During the Heat game, Jeremy Taché, who works here and also is a rising star locally with the Heat and the Marlins.
Jer Bear.
Oh, no, I got a new nickname for him.
What?
Tash Money.
Ooh.
For the 9
money, but
I like it.
I thought he was Jeremy Gasset.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I don't know. Does Imodium help with that? So Jeremy Taché is sitting on the sideline the other day, and I thought of Billy immediately because the ball came careening out of bounds, was thrown, somebody missed it, and Jeremy grabbed it right before it hit his face because he happened to be paying attention, and I wondered whether Billy was rooting for him not to be paying attention.
Why would I want someone to get hit in the face?
Because you're Billy.
What's happening here?
It's like something you
what does
do.
that mean?
Yeah.
You like chaos. You like funny things. You like
Tony's saying, what if it was him? You would have rooted for Tony to be
Well, Tony would have got it and dunked it and put 50 up on the other team, and it would have been a whole thing. They would have signed him to a contract. He would have started the All-Star game.
It would have been his moment.
Thank you.
Straight up Hall of Famer
John
after that.
Amici shows up out of nowhere.
I dunk on him, too.
Totally different story. By the way, yesterday, you guys weren't part of this because we have a chat that doesn't involve the parents. So we had a situation where we put out on the show like a clip of you and John Amici next to each other in South Beach sessions. Dan, I have never seen anyone make you look so small. John Amici is massive. Like, it almost looked like a doctored photo with how big it was that John Amici was in comparison to you. And I just sent that link like in the chat, and I'm like, Tony, how do you think you're going to beat this man at anything? Like, look how small he makes.
It was a bad angle. It's and after you said that. Hold on.
He's used for any angle.
Hold on, because Billy sent that video tweet, and then I right after immediately sent a picture of Amin with Antonio McDyess or whoever it was. Antonio Davis. Sorry, that makes him look.
Antonio McDavis.
I said McDyess, whatever, not the point. The point being that it's angles, right? The camera looks a certain way, like,
hang on.
John is massive.
Can we ask our director, please, to take the 2-shot of Dan and Stugotz right now and we can show the people watching on YouTube, youtube.com/LeBatard and Friends, of what Stugotz looks like next to Dan.
Go to DNS. Go to DNS.
And let's compare it to what Stugotz or what John Amici looked like next to Dan. All right, so there's how Stugotz looks next to Dan.
Yeah. Well,
that's the shot.
It's not, though.
It is the shot. It does seem like Stugotz has his chair pretty high, I would say, which may have
tiny.
No, but it may have made John look a little bigger than he is. But
exactly.
Still, Tony, you'd have no shot.
Guys, he's massive. I know that. That's not. I'm just saying that the angles in that studio, the way the studio's set up, it makes him look really, really big. Amin is not as small as he was in that picture, but he looks small.
Dude, when you're talking about Garden John Amici, I'm reminded of the time when we traded for Shaq in Phoenix. He landed and we had a midnight workout because we had to get him back in shape and stuff. And I was in the workout, and I was the defender on the ball handler as we were practicing pick and rolls. And we call it the touch and go drill, where it's like we want the guy to slip the screen. So you just kind of touch him and then you slip. You don't sit that screen. And Shaq touched me. And
he's so strong.
No,
absolutely.
No.
Shaq touched me.
Yeah. My spine.
He's very.
I
strong.
heard, and like the wind was knocked out of me, and I realized as I fell to the floor and I looked back and seen him thunderously dunking. I was like, oh, that's him trying not to hit me, right? That's him
not to hurt you.
Not even not hurt. Like the drill is, you're not supposed to lay the wood on the screen. You're supposed to slip. So that's him like, just lightly tapping you before going to slip the screen and dunking. Tony, I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just telling you, he's gonna make contact in a way that you cannot fathom that a human can create this kind of contact.
I can fathom.
Yeah.
I think you underestimate because you've seen the famous video of Shaq dunking on Chris Dudley and then
shoving him, yeah.
And then like sort of hip thrusting into his face and pushing him a little bit.
Get
then
out of
Chris
here.
Dudley gets furious, picks up the basketball and throws it at him. John Amici was going to be the backup to Shaq with the Lakers.
Yeah.
And I don't think Tony understands how strong he is. Those photos are not doctored, unlike the ones with Billy and who was it? Oh, it was Derrick Henry, wasn't it? At the Super
wasn't
Bowl?
doctored.
But you purposely sat in a shorter seat. It wasn't doctored, but you were going
Dan,
for. You were going for.
what are you doing?
Why are you telling people all the secret sauce here? Yeah, maybe
that was the gag. Me and Billy.
Maybe we put our seats as low as possible and put Derrick Henry's seat as high as possible.
That's not what was happening here, though. I'm 6'4". He made me look like Brad Williams.
Shout out to Brad.
Every time I see Dan, I'm stunned by how tall he is. It's been over a year, and I still can't get over the fact that this man is as tall as he is. And then to see him next to John Amici, looking like Stugotz looks next to Dan, was shocking.
Tony's hanging on to this, but Billy, you're claiming that you would not root for Jeremy Taché, Tash Money.
Dash Money for the 9-9 of 2000. You don't want him to get hit in the face?
Not really, no.
That was Jeremy Taché's crowning achievement as an athlete, to be on camera there and not be incompetent, because he was paying attention at the right time. And if he had not been like that would have caught him flush in a way that would have been viral. Everybody would have been making fun of it.
I'm going to say what Billy won't say. We lost out on some amazing show content.
We did.
We could have been rerunning that shit forever.
Are you saying this selfishly so that we'd stop doing the Ninja Warrior thing of yours? Because like this maybe would have supplanted that. Like someone getting hit in the face with a basketball would have probably removed.
I don't think you want to be supplanted. I mean,
I kind of agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I feel like that in Chris Cody's view
worked out well for
that was
you.
good. For
No
you.
one else is. No one else has the most viewed video in the history of American Ninja Warrior. That belongs alone to Amin Al-Hassan. I don't think
that
he
might
wants
have changed over the years.
Yeah.
In the last couple of years, you think it's been passed by something?
Maybe. Like now, ever since they put kids in there, and now there's like these 12-year-olds.
Kids ruin everything. I'm just going to say it. Shows.
Thank you.
Kids ruin shows.
Man.
It's too much. Kids ruin Modern Family. I did not care about the kids in that show or the storylines of the kids. It was too much. It's like, I don't care about the kids growing up. I don't care about the kids, whatever. Right? Kids' versions of shows, not the best. My favorite show, Amazing Race, which maybe one day we'll get to the Amazing Race segment. My favorite show, Amazing Race, they had a family edition where it was like, it's normally teams of 2, right? And like adults, whatever. This was like parents and their kids. I started watching half of one episode and I'm like, I can't do it. I can't watch this show. One, because they were not going to leave the U.S. because of travel things, and like I like to see the world through my TV on the couch. So I didn't want to just see the U.S. like on a travel show. And then like I was made uncomfortable because I didn't see it, but I figured what's going to happen is these parents are going to get pissed off at these kids at some point, right? Because like these kids are going to be the dead weight
1,000%
that cost their parents and their family that shot at winning $1 million. And it's like, then do we have like an awkward situation where it's like, I can't scream at my child on television? Or do they just lose the moment and become like their natural selves and you're just like berating 8-year-olds like, you idiot, you could have bought blah, blah, blah. You know that pool you wanted? We're never going to get it out because you're a stupid idiot and you couldn't figure out a math problem. Ah!
You would have kept watching if it wouldn't have been
I wouldn't.
ruined.
It would have made me uncomfortable. I didn't want to see that, so I'm like, I got to go. I don't care what little Timmy and Jimmy and Johnny and Sally have to do for this team. Like, I can't watch it. Boom, on to season 9.
But Billy, when was that season? When did you watch that?
I binged a bunch of them over COVID.
So that was pre you being a parent.
Yeah, this is pre me being a parent.
You watch. Give it a couple of years because your kid is so small. When your kid is like 2 or 3 and starts doing stuff and not listening and all that, you're gonna watch that show. Like, I hope.
No. But these kids are annoying age kids. These are like in the 8 to 15 range where it's like.
I'm telling you, it's not even gonna take that long. It's at the moment where you tell the kid to sit down and the kid doesn't sit down, and the kid understands the instruction and just doesn't care. When you start watching parents absolutely annihilate their children on TV, there's such a catharsis. Like, oh, thank God, someone's finally telling this little asshole.
Even though it's fake. You're right. No, I've been there. Right. Finally, someone understands my pain.
Billy, you were watching it through the lens of someone who wasn't a parent at the time. There's no way you could ever empathize. It felt awkward for you. But now, or maybe in a couple of years, it's going to hit.
Billy, you're not so competitive that you would have in your head somewhere the antenna of, I can't appear like a bad parent on television screaming at my child because I have to win this race. You would err on the side of losing the race and appearing not to be a jerk to a child on television, correct?
$1 million, Dan. Yeah.
I love my friends over at Mavis Staples. I know what you're saying. They're staples. How could their staples be better than any other staples? But I'm telling you, they are. They will hold more paper together than any other staples out there. I am telling you, I've used them, guys. I have them in my house. My kids use them. In fact, I like them so much, I got my kids' private school to use nothing but Mavis Staples. They have an exclusive deal. They are fantastic. And like Dan said, you got to support the people that support the show. And that's what Mavis Staples has been doing forever. So if you're interested, I can get you 15% off right now. All you have to do is go to MavisStaples.com, promo code Dan. That is MavisStaples.com, promo code Dan.
How you do it.
Stugotz can prove that he can sell just about anything, even a Greg Cody reference to having gone to the concert of an 80-year-old Mavis Staple. Billy, you were getting buried in the kitchen by everybody in the company. The same area where we watched the first film made by Meadowlark Media. It'll appear on Amazon Prime on Thanksgiving Day. About U.S. and Mexico and the soccer rivalry and, of course, the politics between the two countries as well. And you were eating, there was so much candy and stuff out there, and it didn't feel like any of you ate it yesterday. So you decided to have at 9 a.m. gummies for breakfast.
False narrative. Not exactly what happened.
Well, you were eating gummies at 9
I was. Now, what is the reason for that? It's because we have one toaster and 3 billion people here now. So there was a long line for toast. I had to rush out of the house today just to get stuck in traffic anyways because someone broke down. Drivers, can we just make a pact? Can we all accept that we're in this together and just not drive like assholes so everyone can get where they need to go on time every day?
Good luck with that, Bill.
No promises.
Yeah.
Every day, so, like, it just takes one or two people to mess it up for absolutely everyone and society. If we can all just focus for our drive for 15, 20, 30 minutes, however long it may be, 45, 2 hours, whatever Stugotz's is, just focus that time on driving. We can all get to where we're going without crashing and holding everybody. You don't need to check your Twitter, Tony. No one wants to tweet at you. Just focus where you're going and we'll be fine.
The most I despair for society is when there is an accident or is when there are lanes closed. And let's say you're going from 4 to 3 and the one on the right lane is closed off and they've got to merge and someone stops the person in front of them from merging. It's a 1 in, 1 out policy. And yet there's always the person that becomes the 2 in. They wedge themselves in. Yep. They don't allow people to merge. You, sir or ma'am, are a scourge on our society.
Thank you.
Wow.
A scourge on our
scourge.
A scourge on our society.
God.
And use a
you
blinker.
need to look yourself in the mirror and think about what you do to traffic, what you do to your fellow man. It is disgusting. It is repulsive. And you, sir or madam, need to improve who you are as a human being.
So nice.
Wow.
Yeah. There is nothing worse than not being able to merge. Like a guy won't let you merge who just merged himself.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
It's the worst.
When you cut someone off, it's kind of like you got to know your teammates and they got to get in ahead of you. You know what I mean? Like you can't be the person that doesn't let people in.
I love sometimes when like I'm running late to merge and I see someone cut someone else off, and for me it's like, you know what you did. You know what you did? I'm getting in front of you, okay? This is your payback to society for cutting someone off when you shouldn't have. You're going to let me in too.
Here's my thing. It's just similar to this. I hate when we're merging or, it says, hey, this lane is closed up ahead, so you got to merge. And people a mile ahead of it start lining up on the side. And I'm like, I'm zooming right past this until the final moment where I have to merge.
Problem.
Why am I the problem? It's a lane. Why aren't people using this lane?
That's actually what you're supposed to do.
Thank you.
I've looked at like traffic pattern optimization things on Twitter and YouTube because I'm fascinated by this.
If I said this, the battery
I don't know
Let's go back to the Gummy Bears.
Yeah.
Billy, why were you eating Gummy Bears?
Have you guys heard of citizens' arrests?
Yes.
I thought of writing
we've
citizens.
seen Seinfeld.
I thought of writing citizens tickets today. I was honestly considering it. It wouldn't have gone well for me because look, I'm no narc.
Later.
It would have been made later. That's a whole nother thing. I'm no narc, but I will say this. In the traffic that I was dealing with today, there's a lane on the expressway where I'm driving that's clearly marked it is only for buses. It's not. You can't even. It's painted red, which I've never seen before. It's painted red. I thought that they spilled a can of paint and just dragged it through the street. It's painted red. This lane only for buses. I saw no less, and I started counting after like 5 or 6. No less than 7. And again, I'm not an narc. I saw no less than 7 vehicles with lights on their roofs, turning them on, driving in the lane that was meant just for buses, and then once the bus lane ended, they would just drive in and turn their lights off. There didn't seem to be any emergencies, but I'm not a narc, so I won't tell you what division they belong to. I just will say they had sirens on their roofs.
Let me just say this, Billy.
It's a heady play.
It's not narking when it's law enforcement. That's the only one where you get to snitch on them for sure.
No,
but I think Billy's doubting whether or not they're all law enforcement. Like,
no, I'm absolutely
sirens.
not. No, these are very official-looking vehicles. What I'm saying is, had I decided that this is the time to write the first ever citizen citation on these vehicles, it would have gone very poorly for me. I would have been a lot later, and I probably would have gotten arrested. So I don't think it would have worked out for me. But I was very peeved. I was very peeved to see no less than 7 do this, and I was like, "What is going on here? I don't like this." But we move forward. I got here, and let's talk about the Gummy Bears because that's what this was about.
Let's backtrack for a second because Roy had something to say here, and I have follow-up questions for you.
If this was Madden, you would have a 99 on the deflection attribute, right? Because that was a beautiful deflection.
From what?
For being late from work?
From the Gummy Bears.
Gummy Bears.
Gummy Bears.
We talked about traffic for about 10 minutes.
Well, there's a reason for the story.
That was the point of the story.
Yes, but here
Billy Gil effect.
We will get back to the Gummy Bears, and I thought Billy did that on purpose, but now I have further questions to get into this whole because I have felt the pandemic and everything just got jostled here, and in the middle of that, you became a father. And so when you get here in the morning, there is an energy on you. You come in backpack, sort of shoulder first, and it feels like you've been catapulted from someplace, and you arrive here energetically in a way that's frazzled, and I didn't realize it was just the traffic. I thought it was just life, but it sounds like it's the traffic.
Truth be told, today started early for Billy Gil. I was up at 5 a.m. because I needed to finish the use of sound montage because I wasn't here yesterday and I wasn't done. So I woke up at 5 to finish the use of sound montage.
That's a way to start.
I had a good 90 minutes or so of work before I even stepped in the car.
Jesus.
And then I had to, feed the baby, do all the baby things that go on. So I've had a busy day today. So I have that energy, and I didn't have coffee. Now, back to the Gummy Bears, unless there are any further questions.
The difference between the pandemic, when at the start of the pandemic.
I don't want to sound like Amin. Great. There was no driving around. There was no traffic. It was kind of like roll out. You got to get up early to do some work. Get up early 40 minutes before you got to do work. Boom. Take a couple steps. Sometimes pajama pants on. Actually, that's not true. I don't know how you guys did it, but I was doing the whole thing where like I would get dressed for work and sit down, and then I would change after. Yeah,
people were encouraged to do that. It sort of gave you a sense of purpose.
It was big. I don't know this. I don't know the facts. Stugotz, I'm sure you could look it up on laundrydetergent.com.
Sure.
Big year for doing laundry. I would say.
Yes.
Because I had my
don't need to look it up.
I had my work clothes that I regularly wore. I had my hangout in the house clothes, and then anytime I went outside, because I didn't have a hazmat suit, I had my outdoor clothes.
Yeah.
And as soon as I would walk in the doorway, I would strip all of my clothes off down to my skivvies, and then I would put my indoor clothes back on, and I'd throw my outdoor clothes over. I think I even had outdoor and indoor shoes at the time, because I couldn't let the germs of this unknown virus get on my clothes and penetrate. This is back when we were washing grocery boxes and grocery bags. Like I was getting these Clorox wipes that were in demand. You couldn't find them, but I'm wasting them washing boxes of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, which are cardboard. And it's like, well, what is this chemical doing to the box? Is this even worth it? Which it wasn't. So, anyways, back to what were we talking about?
Do you remember scrubbing your groceries? Do you remember cleaning up your grocery bags?
We had a conversation back here yesterday that was among the sadder conversations we had, which was, what are the hallmarks you remember of the pandemic? And that certainly was one of them. Like, I had...
Not being able to get free weights.
Right.
Yes.
Toilet paper.
Everyone had a moment where they made the decision, am I a scrubbing my groceries person or am I not a scrubbing my groceries person? I distinctly remember shaving my head because I couldn't get to a barber.
What?
And yeah,
I shaved my boyfriend's neck.
Yeah, I shaved most of the hair off my head. Yeah, I was sick of having hair. I just went off with it.
Huh?
Can we go back to Stugotz?
What happened?
No free weights that you were.
That was a thing, man. Free weights were in demand.
I figured it was the perfect time to try to finally get in shape. I had nothing but time.
Yeah,
but I couldn't get free weights.
Yeah,
I mean,
not to sound like Amin, best shape of my life. I was doing Barry's boot camp at home every single day. I had no work to do.
I gained weight.
I tried yoga.
I was great. I was in great shape. It wasn't peak 2018, but it was pretty good though.
I had an idea, Stugotz, that I'll gladly share with you because it's an idea and I just would like it for the betterment of society.
Okay.
Because I don't know how to put it in place, right? And I don't know how to make it affordable. The thing with free weights, they're kind of expensive, right? And you have to buy a lot of them. And then they have the weights that you go and they have like the adjustments on them where it's like you take off and it's only
the Bowflex.
Those are super expensive. They're like $200-300 or something like per thing, right? So I was thinking, there has to be a way, and Stugotz, you can get in on this with me if you want. I don't know how to develop this idea, and now I'm putting it out there. Someone else will. Things weigh. Everything weighs, right? So why is it that we're paying so much for buying weight? So this is what I was thinking, Amin, and tell me what you think about this. I was thinking of making plastic dumbbells that you fill with sand.
They already made those.
Really?
Yeah, they made those already.
Those already exist. But also, Billy, what you're landing on is
little late, Bill.
How expensive are they?
I don't know.
What you're landing on is the Rocky IV principle, which is I don't need like sophisticated gym equipment.
Just
I've got all this shit lying around here. A stick with 2 buckets and
some boulders.
Think back to like the pictures that we see of like people in caves. They were all jacked as shit, right?
Yeah.
Like they didn't have LA Fitness to go to. Like what were they lifting? Just like rocks and logs. What were they doing?
It's body weight. They're doing chin ups. They're doing sit ups.
I don't think
No, they had to kill animals to live.
It was just literally their day to day.
What are you talking about?
You don't think they were doing push-ups and
they
stuff?
were in
Jumping jacks?
mode.
Huh.
No, they were at Costco lifting up those huge crates of water, Dan, I think. That's why
that's
they were
right.
so
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah.
Billy.
Sand dumbbells exist, you're telling me.
For years they've
Sand
existed.
bells.
They're probably cheaper than normal
That's
ones.
my thought process, because you
Probably
could
also
get
suck
sand.
ass because they leak sand everywhere.
They seem to be pre-filled with sand, though. You go on Amazon,
I don't buy it.
Like you're buying heavy things, presumably making them more difficult to ship. You're saying, Billy, send me an empty vessel for weight.
Yeah.
I'll go down the beach, bring home 5 pounds of sand, and
Exactly
fill this bag
right.
with it.
Well, I wouldn't tell people because I'd be stealing.
But
I wouldn't be
hold on.
encouraging theft.
Not to be Charlie Kelly from Always Sunny, but how do you count how much sand is like 5 pounds?
Well,
7
that's
pounds?
what. Okay, that's a good question. This is what I was thinking. What
Put it
I
on a
really
scale?
want to.
That's all.
What
You just
I really
put it on a scale.
Well,
So
everyone
he goes
doesn't
to
have
the beach
access
and
to a
brings a
scale.
scale.
What
Yeah,
field?
exactly.
What kind
No,
of workout is
it's
this?
difficult to. You can't judge it accurately. Who? Guys, you guys think you're so smart. Who goes to the beach with a scale? Okay, don't sound ridiculous. So this is what I'm thinking. You go and we like prefab. I mean, you can get on this business too. I don't want to sell it
Keep
with
selling me.
There's
on
no
it.
business.
I just want to go. Come on,
Steal
guys. Get in on
sand.
this. No stealing of sand. You can acquire the sand however you acquire the sand. Look, you could buy 50. I'll tell you guys right now. Here's a hack for if we ever develop this, right? To save you. I'm saving you money on a product that doesn't exist yet. I just want to sell the
does
dump.
exist.
Not the way I want to do it. I'm revolutionizing the game of sand weights. I want to just sell plastic dumbbells. And you go and you fill them yourself. So they're very light. All we're doing is producing the plastic dumbbells. You are there to fill them on
But
your
that's
own.
that's what they're kind
wow.
of like already.
No, not
okay.
the way we're doing it. Me
Okay.
and Amin and Stugotz.
Let's put that for another
You
day.
can then go to Home Depot, Dan. You can buy 50 pounds of play sand for like $5.
Let's put that on the list of
Anyway.
things we'll get to another day.
We'll get to that another
Get
day.
to the goddamn gummy bears.
When you revolutionize the sand
The
weight
fitness game.
industry and the fitness game, which you will arrive at having had gummies for breakfast for 10 years. When I thought, Billy, like I honestly
Haribo.
thought, which one's been harder for you, traffic or fatherhood? Because I thought fatherhood was bringing you in a frenzy, and I'm beginning to learn that it's just traffic.
Well, because it's so unpredictable, Dan. Like, no matter what time I leave, no matter how early I leave, someone always, because again, as a society, we haven't reached this pact to all be in it together. Every day, someone will crash into someone else, or some stupid thing will happen that throws everything off.
We are the worst in the country, correct? When you combine our drivers with how crowded we are and we don't have the infrastructure for this, there are way too many people here. There's no place worse than
I feel like
right
LA is bad.
One of my favorite tropes in the world is that every municipality, country, state, city thinks they have the worst drivers in the world.
Yeah, but we know it down here.
Well, that's
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stugotz is right.
Yeah.
I was going to ask Jessica, I've gotten used to it because they're all selfish, crazy people. And
I went
It's
to
fucking
Georgia
crazy down
once.
here.
People stopped at yellow lights. I was like, what are you doing?
Where was this? Where? Because 285 is a death trap. Literally. Every single day. I lived in Atlanta for like 4 years. Every single day of my life, there was a fatality on 285. Every day.
Well, you win.
way to go, Amin.
None of those happened down here. Anyways, back to the gummy bears. Billy, I stayed away from the gummy bears yesterday because do you guys remember that viral story from like 10 years ago with the sugar-free gummy bears?
Fentanyl?
No, it's not a fentanyl story. Is it the aspartame, the fake sugar?
It was the fake sugar one where a bunch of people were reviewing these sugar-free gummy bears on Amazon and talking about how it like destroyed their intestines and they had like horrible, painful diarrhea. And I haven't been able to touch a gummy bear since.
Wait, do you have the fruit snacks, the Welch's ones ever?
No, never.
Never even?
Never.
Oh. It's the same thing to you.
But just so you guys know what she's talking about here, I don't know whether it's 15 years ago at the start of whatever aspartame was as fake sugar after Splenda. I had jelly beans that were supposed to be sugar-free, and what they did to me was a horror. Like, I can't even explain to you how badly my system reacted to this fake sugar.
Do you guys remember Olestra?
Yes.
Remember
it
Olestra?
was the fake
the
fat,
healthy oil
or healthy fat thing, oil. Yeah, that was
they
in
made the potato
chips.
chips, but it turned into anal leakage.
Yeah, I listened to a podcast that actually was like debunking some of that. It was very interesting. It's called Maintenance Phase. Anywho, on Amazon, people wrote in all of their reviews from eating these gummy bears, and I don't even know if these are real, but this is one of them. And this scarred me for 10 years. Still have not eaten a gummy bear. What came out of me felt like someone tried to funnel Niagara Falls through a coffee straw. I swear my sphincters were screaming. It felt like my delicate starfish was gaping maw projectile vomiting a torrential flood of toxic waste. 100% liquid, flammable liquid, napalm.
Oh, yeah.
Napalm is a great way to close it.
That's a little phenomenon we like to call poop soup.
But this is exactly why you don't look into what you're eating. Just eat it. Just eat whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Don't read into it. You're not going to eat anything. I have bad news for everybody here. Whatever you put into your mouth has killed someone at some point in time. So just don't look into it. Yeah, everything.
Yeah,
everything.
but there's also things that are proven to like upset your tummy, and I would avoid those things if I could.
I would take it. Instant diet. About a diarrhea, drop like 3 pounds. It'll be like a bad day, but it'll be like a week at the gym.
Why are you having gummies at 9 a.m.? Put it on the poll, please, at LeBatardShow. Have you eaten gummy bears? Not the CBD ones, not the edibles. Have you eaten gummy bears for breakfast?
It wasn't intended to be my breakfast. Again,
But you
the
did
point of
say-
the traffic and all of that was to let you know I was in a rush and I didn't have time to eat or drink anything. So I came in here completely parched and famished, and I needed to eat and drink something. We got right into the show, so I needed to go in the limited break that we had. I needed to go over there, but a line had formed because we only have one toaster going on, and everybody was making toast, and that's primarily what we have here is bread. So I couldn't eat the bread. So while I was there,
That's primarily what we have.
while I was there was it's bread and candy and
chips
and
a lot
weirdly
of chips.
like
there was a
onions
whole
that
helping
are-
of bananas off to the side.
Oh,
if you wanted
no,
something.
those are fake.
No,
those are
those are
fake
fake-
fruits.
the
I'm
fake
telling you right
fruit.
now. I
You
grabbed
fell
one
for
of
that?
it bounced. They're plastic. Those are plastic fruits.
The top ones are real.
No,
There's
they
like
know-
7 bananas.
One,
in
Did
there.
you eat one?
Why do
No.
we have fake fruit? Two,
Because-
why are we putting real fruit on top of the fake fruit just to throw everyone off?
Because they know no one's going to eat the fruit, so they just
Right.
have decided instead of having spoiled fruit here every week and
not
having to
true.
toss it out, they'll get like 3 actual fruits and then they put it on top of all the fake. I'm telling you, I grabbed a banana the other day and it had an iPhone charger coming out of it. I bit right into it. It was Bobby's old banana phone. It was in there with the fresh bananas. It made no sense.
Whitty, why are you so upset? Because it seems like you just received the worst possible news. It's just a banana.
I mean,
Yeah.
I really enjoy the bananas.
No, ask
here. It's
Jess.
my
I
favorite part of the
bounced I
spread.
bounced an orange in front of her yesterday or the day before. I go, these fruit don't look real, and I grabbed them. I was like, wait a minute, and I threw it. It bounced into the air. They're fake.
I am mortified on behalf of the people who have fed us when we didn't have running water
we
at
didn't.
ESPN, and I am mortified on behalf of all the care they've taken
It's
in
a
the
good
other.
aesthetic. It looks great. It makes the room look awesome.
No, but there's also food here. You guys, the first time there
There's
was
one
food there,
toaster.
I saw. We probably need more toasters.
We used to have one fridge,
But
and it's behind
I
Dan.
saw wild wolverines after you guys left the room. I saw it had been attacked by hyenas and wolverines because you hadn't eaten in 8 years because ESPN put the spread downstairs for first take and we weren't allowed to have any. And so I just feel bad for the people who over the last 2 years have taken such care to have the banana section for Whittingham.
No, they're doing great, but like we're not banana people, okay? Like we're pizza people, which is why they ordered 80 boxes of pizza and there was 40 left over. So guys, leftovers for lunch day. There
know
was
it.
a
In the
conversation.
fridge?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, you toss that in the air fryer that we have here. Ooh,
Oh,
exquisito.
Yeah,
We
but
only have
there
one
were-
air fryer, so.
that's gonna be a
the
line.
Yeah,
food
only one air
reviver.
fryer, yeah.
Tony's
Food
Just
reviver.
microwave.
Tony's good with the air fryer. He can get those pieces in and out pretty quick, and they come out very well.
I could probably put a whole box of pizza inside the air fryer.
No, you can't.
I think you can. You should do it. I
No,
think
you
you
can't.
I
can.
can pack it like a
Try.
caravan.
Yeah.
Strikes again.
He's the best at everything.
You're better at air frying than anyone, Tony.
So back to the gummy bears. This is what happened. I needed to eat something, and there was leftover candy that was sitting right in front of me. And look, guys, I didn't want to faint here and have you guys then have to figure out what do we do with someone who's passed out because he's both parched and famished. So I said, you know what, let me get my blood sugar up a little bit. So I started snacking on the gummy bears while I was waiting to make the toast. And then I had a bunch of judgmental people around me. Leading the charge was Chris Whittingham over here, who said, and look, also, I don't like food to go to waste. And the people across the hall did a great job of getting all of this food for us yesterday for the movie that came out. They wanted it to be a great experience. And all of you spat in their faces by not eating it yesterday. So it was left over today. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do this because I don't want Hildy and Kristen to feel bad about the fact that they put in all this effort and their candy is going to waste. So I said, I will bite the bullet on this one, or in this case, I will bite the gummy bear on
All
this.
right, so-
And I went and I got the gummy bears. So I started
nice of
chewing
you,
on
though.
some gummy bears while I was waiting for the ability to make the toast because I was doing a selfless thing
Yes,
again.
but, you're a
to not-
.org. You're Brother Teresa. It's
I was
amazing.
trying to be.
.org.
I was trying to be. But as most people, I was then persecuted for me doing the right thing here. And Whittingham looks at me and he goes, well, you said it, not me. So then Whittingham said, oh, I almost ate those gummy bears yesterday. And I thought he wanted the gummy bears. So I then took them out and I said, here, why don't you share with me? Why don't you have some of these Haribo gummy bears with me? They're delicious. And then he said to me, I couldn't do it. And I go, why not? He goes, I would have felt like a child eating a gummy bear. And it's 9 a.m. And I was like, wow.
That is very judgy.
He was judging.
That's what I said.
That's very judgy. Also,
I'm calling chickens on that with Whittingham.
What?
That guy eats more Welch's little fruit snacks than anybody on the planet.
So you think they're better, but they're not. I love Haribo.
You're the child.
The mean chicken wasn't giving us much. Nothing at all, Dad.
I don't know how to do it. They're always aimed at me.
The mean chicken had no confidence. The mean chicken was trying to get in, and all the other chickens had too many opinions, so all the mean chicken could do was squawk.
Just squawk. I was an actual chicken.
In fairness to
Cameron
Tony,
Payne's the coward.
In fairness to Tony and the chickens, I do love Haribo gummy bears. I just don't like to. I don't like to eat them in front of people because I feel like I look like I'm 7 years old.
So. But isn't that the whole point?
Adorable.
The commercials are always like the kids in like the little suits and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So cute.
Kids.
So cute.
No, it's a kid's food. And like I
would
have felt like, first off, I walked in front of everyone during the screening to go get popcorn, 2 helpings of popcorn, because I absolutely love popcorn. I could honestly probably start a popcorn reviewing series of Sports Stadium.
Oh, don't get us started on popcorn. And I tells he has his special.
Dan's got the special popcorn. That would review very well. Probably 9 out of 10 on my review scale.
But who are you afraid of judging you for eating gummy bears? Gino Fuentes? Like, what are we worried about?
It's us.
Yes.
The second Fuentes.
And everything that I do is subject to judgment around here, including not eating gummy bears now, apparently. And so I just would have, I would have felt judged. Hey, everyone, I'm going to walk in front of your view of our brand new documentary so that I can grab gummy bears and sit in the corner and eat them.
I felt for Whittingham as the company has grown during this weird time where all of us are fighting in traffic. I feel for Whittingham because everyone buries him at all times because we don't have corporate anymore, and now he gets to be corporate. And it's just he gets buried from every angle, and it's been rude and cruel to watch it. I've got to be frank.
I wanted to, and the only reason I didn't.
Himself, I have to be honest.
No, he's trying. He is trying to help everybody, and now you guys have him so self-conscious that he doesn't want to have a snack in front of you.
Well,
but he's the kind of helper. Sorry, Billy. He's the kind of person who does help. He's great, but he's also judging you at the exact same time.
At an annoying rate. Today I almost went to HR to complain about him, but I didn't know how to go to because he's so helpful. He walked up to me and he just looked at me straight in the face and goes, what size underwear do you wear? And I go, whoa, inappropriate.
Yeah, we had a new sponsor is coming on board, Tommy John, and they've sent us underwear, not just underwear. For me, the creme de la creme of underwear. Fantastic brand. I bought them even before they were a sponsor. They sent us a shipment, so I offered everyone free underwear.
That's how you sell.
Can I put it on the poll, boxers or briefs?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
There's another part to the gummy bear story, by the way, where Lewis came in and he accused Billy of stealing the gummies.
That was a whole other thing. Then Lewis came, which I haven't seen in months. I don't know where he's hiding. But Lewis came, and he just goes, this is why Cubans have a bad name. Because I went to put it in my pocket so we could come across the hall and eat them. He was accusing me of stealing these gummy bears that nobody wanted to eat because they look like kids.
He's like, get them out of your pocket. It was really, really like secret police style, like, get them out of your pocket. And so Billy says, no one wants these gummies. Now my fingers have been in them.
That's true. I said my dirty fingers have been in these. No one wants them now. And then I was so flustered that I almost opened them and spread them across the counter just to prove it wrong. But I didn't do it because someone else, I would have cleaned them up, but I needed to prove a point. So I can't spill it and then just be like, clean it up, and then walk. But if I walk away, then something else is going to happen. Either someone's going to clean them up, which I would feel bad about, or ants would come, and we don't want ants.
You must spend your life driving home thinking of all the ways you could have dismounted on an argument, but I
have so many arguments in my head every day. Driving in every day, sometimes I have arguments all the time that I'm prepared for.
Billy,
they never so much going on up there, man.
As a worrywart, how the hell were you ever a pole vaulter? Like, I always think about that. Like, Billy overanalyzes every single situation.
Billy, yeah.
That's a different.
I wasn't
It's a confident Billy that doesn't think. Yes,
and it's so fast you can't even think.
That thing looks.
Chris
terrifying.
is right though. I would have made fun of him.
Can we please just one thing here at the end, because I think this popcorn review thing has more future possibly than Billy.
You just want your popcorn review. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Sand weight idea.
That's a good idea, Dan. I'm telling you. Want in? You want in? Today's the day.
I don't, but I want.
I'm not even asking for 80-20.
You're a mistake.
I just want to hear some more reviews, though. The comment sections are fairly useless. Some of the worst of the world is in the comment sections. But when you get around, some of these people have had the same shared experience with a fake sugar, and the way it cleaned them out is an unpleasantness they remember decades later. What is it that you found in that comment section for this fake sugar that makes you will not have a gummy bear? You will
Never
not.
Again. There was one more, Dan, that really stuck with me, and it was titled Gastrointestinal Armageddon. During one of the last of the 8 trips to the bathroom, I released such a large volume of gas that my external anal sphincter could not do its job and remained open and relaxed while about 5.5 to 5 seconds of gas was expelled. I've never experienced or even heard of that happening. It was so unnatural that I had to check to feel if my colon had somehow passed through the anal sphincter muscle.
So that's happened to me before, and I've always likened it.
Just stop it right there, okay?
I don't know what the strategy is, but I have assumed that Chris Rock has not publicly said anything about what happened with Will Smith, and has told very few jokes even as he's working out his act. I have assumed that Chris Rock is going to keep to himself the entirety of what that material is and get the value of it by going live on Netflix and capturing audience, so that Netflix, that loves the data and a collection and the information, can see how many people they can get to a live Chris Rock show. Because Chris Rock has been, throughout his career, a terrible actor. The cue cards, his acting is terrible, and his act is very sculpted. And he knows the music of it. It's super, super precise, but live is hard. Live is a different animal on an act you may not have tried in public. And I've assumed that when he goes live, that he's going to do so. You're expecting a special that has a lot of Will Smith jokes in it, are you not?
Yes, but terrible actor. I mean, New Jack City.
Come on now, Pookie.
What are you guys expecting from that special and the idea that he's doing it live, which these specials are curated, they're crafted, they're careful, they're edited.
They are, but again, he said he's doing it for the first time. He's not. These guys all work this material in comedy clubs across the country, particularly New York and L.A., go on a Wednesday night to the Comedy Cellar or the Belly Room at the Comedy Store in L.A., and you might see one of these guys walk in and just do material. And so it's been done before. It's just the idea that we're not going to get the clean TV experience of a stand-up, which is we're cutting shots of people laughing at other jokes to react to this joke. They didn't quite get the laughs that you would have wanted for a TV special.
They haven't secured a date for it, or they haven't announced a date for it. All the reports and blog items on it are early 2023, and I think if you really wants to maximize the audience, the Oscars air in early March of 2023, so maybe that's what he's going to be going for. To me, the big news story here is this is Netflix's first ever live event. They're going to display this capability, along with the rumors that they're bidding on live sports properties. This is a dawn of a new age for Netflix, as their projections have come in under, and they're struggling to find ways to add to their subscriber base.
Did you guys see they've added now Netflix with ads? Like they call it basic Netflix.
Netflix and reinvented television. They're just TV.
Well,
they have ads in live.
Yeah. They literally lapped everybody, and they're now behind the pack trying to catch up.
They're like, oh shit, that's how you make money.
Okay,
Yeah.
but can we examine this for a second? Because even during the pandemic or the start of the pandemic and Tiger King, Netflix was roaring. It was one of the succeeding economies, and everything has changed very quickly. The content game is shaking and collapsing a little bit because you've got corporate companies coming in here and gutting places for tax reasons, for economy reasons, and
antitrust reasons.
We had nothing else to do. I mean, that's why they flourished. Them and dumbbells.
But I've been asking for many years as I fell behind on streaming and didn't understand how, of course, your life will change when the menu is at your control. You don't have to do commercials. You can watch what you want when you want. You're not governed by someone else's schedule. Of course, I didn't realize while it was happening that Netflix was coming to replace television, not to compete against television. And they got such a huge head start that people did not think that even Disney could catch up. There would be no catching up to Netflix because of they were pouring more into content than anybody. And then everything that's happened with Netflix since leaves us in a place where, yes, now they've got to get back in the game with all of their billions. They're not going to just cash out. They got to get into streaming too. So Chris Rock Live, carefully curated to make sure that that's the time he's talking about it and all the eyes will be there on live television. It becomes the comedian's brand becoming bigger than Saturday Night Live now. As comedians and the older ones fight for survival and am I allowed to talk now? Chappelle is in a relationship with Netflix. Neil Brennan's got a special that's spectacular. It's really great, and he's trying to like reinvent the form of doing comedy vulnerably. And here's Chris Rock, and at the height of, like, it's an important time, man. These guys compete. Chappelle and Chris Rock are going for the title of who was the best. While we were around, Chris Rock has a moment here on live television. Am I Eddie Murphy? Am I Richard Pryor? I want to be one of the greats of this game.
I mean, his legacy is pretty secured, but this is the first time that it's been maybe since the late 90s where it's or early 2000s where it's an appointment thing, because I imagine it'll be marketed as his first public jokes on the Will Smith thing. So I think that's interesting. But I like that when I was growing up watching TV and cable television, the old, like, you either had an HBO special or a Comedy Central special, and that's how you have arrived. Comedy Central is pretty much unrecognizable now from the network that it was several years ago. Now the new standard is, did you get your Netflix special? And Netflix has really gravitated towards stand-up and is now the platform, the prestige platform for stand-up specials. So for them to venture out into live programming, and that first thing being a stand-up special, tells you exactly how they've tried to corner that market, which is pretty fascinating because I'm not sure how macro that is. What is the broad base appeal of stand-up comedy these days?
And you also have to figure out a way to create destination events if you're these streamers. It's why Peacock spent so much money on the WWE, because there's a destination event once a month and it has a defined subscriber base. But I think what's happened to Netflix is they took everyone else's content, and the people who had the content were like, ooh, secondary revenue for this thing we already made. Thank you. I'll take the cash. Not realizing they were creating this giant, and now everyone has sort of held on to all of their content, and they'd rather create their own streamer. That it's difficult. It loses them money. It's tough to get subscribers, but rather that than fuel the thing that will eventually replace them. So Netflix is looking for destination events like this one.
Would Chris Rock be hailed or vilified if he didn't refer to Will Smith at all, not even once? He's bigger than that event. That's not going to define me. I'm not even going to mention it, because the first time I ever saw Jerry Seinfeld live, I was shocked he did not refer to the sitcom, to the eponymous sitcom, once. Zero reference for an hour and a half performance. And is Chris Rock big enough to actually do that, to astonish everybody by not even bringing it up?
That's terrible advice from you.
I'm asking the question.
Would you be disappointed if you went?
Everybody would
right?
be. Everybody would be.
Well, he's been disappointing crowds left and right because he's been very actively touring, and he hasn't cracked many Will Smith jokes.
Right.
Let me just say, Greg, that's an excellent question. But I just love the idea that you went to go see Jerry Seinfeld. Like, all right, let's get a Kramer reference in here. Oh, that one with a lane.
You have to acknowledge
master your domain. And then nothing.
You don't find it odd that Jerry Seinfeld, in an hour and a half stand-up act, doesn't make any reference to the most famous sitcom in the history of television? I did. No. I was surprised.
No, and by the way, Greg, I watched Seinfeld stand-up right after the show ended, like in 2000. That HBO special. I never once never once was like, all right, is he gonna mention the black and white cookie? Because I would love a black and white cookie reference right here.
Yeah, but you have to mention it. Like, get over yourself. I went to see Jason Alexander at my temple. It's a weird sentence right there, but I did go to see him at my temple. He did it. And you couldn't ask him any Seinfeld questions. The only reason I went there was because you were in Seinfeld.
Yeah, ridiculous.
But why was he at your temple?
He was doing some sort of talk at my temple, so I went to it.
And what'd you do? You just raised your hand and say, Vandalay Industries. Who came up with that name?
They said on the front end, no Seinfeld questions.
Oh, get over yourself.
Thank you.
Please.
Yep. And Dan, I love what you're doing with Chris Rock because you put a lot on the line. This is the way we should view everything through sports prism. It seems like a must-win game for Chris Rock. I mean, is he the best ever? Is he Murphy? Is he Pryor? Is he this guy? If he doesn't have a good performance, he's not.
Or he's going to destroy Netflix.
Pressure. Yeah.
We talked with Amin yesterday and Mike Schur about Chappelle, and this age is interesting for a number of different reasons. The comedians want the right to be comedians, and can you carry these old guys into comedy in the future? Because Netflix and Netflix is the one that's now funding comedy. Here, comedians, you want to come be a big thing over here? Here's specials. Netflix is what got Chappelle the name of his show back, right? It got him, he asked for it, and the guy running Netflix said, okay, you can have your show back. And Netflix has taken the hit on having Chappelle. And the leader of Netflix has said, nope, we're going to do comedy over here. Their future kind of depends on it, doesn't it? Netflix didn't spend all those billions of dollars to lose now. Are they going to go fight with the comedians because it's all they got?
Well, no, I think their future, saying the future depends on it. It's already solidified from the comedy standpoint. I think the bigger thing isn't that Chris Rock special, it's that live. It's the portal into we carry live events. And like Woody was saying earlier, like this is the gateway to we can do Formula One, right? Because we already have the most popular Formula One show in the world. Why can't we also broadcast the races with it? And from there, you start going into all the different sports properties that you can bid on. That's what this is about. That's what this play is about. It's just they are using the thing that they're already great at, comedy, to be the bridge to the thing they want to be great at, which is live broadcast.
They're basically just going to do what TV has done for decades to make money, which is an advertising model and which is investing in live programming. And that, for a lot of networks right now, is sports. And the networks pay a lot of money to broadcast sports, but so far they've found that the return on investment is worth it because that's what's been able to keep them relevant, even as the streamers are giving you on-demand TV shows. But there's only so many times you can watch reruns of Seinfeld and The Office.
False.
And The Crown and all these other shows. And now it's split up between all of these companies. You end up spending as much money on 10 different streamers as you did your cable package. So that's all Netflix is doing. It's like a lot of these tech companies, they disrupt the market with this new idea, on-demand video, whatever it is. Like, we'll mail you DVDs whenever you want them. And then eventually there's like a moment where they're disrupting a market that existed the way it did because it was the way that it made money. And so now you have to like revert back to what was the tried and true method of creating revenue and keeping your company afloat. And that's what they're doing. And it's happened to a lot of these new tech companies over the last 20 years that are like, oh, we're going to invent this thing like Uber, but instead of one person getting a car, they're all going to pick up 5 people. It's like, congratulations, that's called a bus. If we had invested in public transportation 20, 30, 40 years ago, instead of everyone gets their own car, we would just have that already in a lot of cities. And instead, it's like, we have these brilliant ideas that don't make a lot of money, and we go back to the thing that we already know works. And that's what Netflix is doing.
But live television with Chris Rock. I mean, what are you expecting? He's going to sit it out?
I think he's going to make a light reference or a one joke that's a punchline or something like that. I don't think he's going to dwell on it. I think, like I said, Greg's question was actually good. What's the strategy here? If you're Chris Rock, as big of a moment as that was, you also don't, it's like, I don't want to turn into the guy that was my one moment and that's all I'm known for.
Right.
when I'm as great as I am, if I were a smaller comedian or lesser known comedian, maybe I do glom onto that. It's like, this is my ticket to the big time.
Yes.
But I'm Chris Rock.
But
Right.
I'm asking
I'm
you,
bigger than that.
But I'm asking you how competitive these guys are. I'm asking you, if you think of how weird a world this is, all these guys are like barbed wire around their insecurities. They're able to be funnier than the bullies. They got to the top of wherever funny resides. They're fighting over the specials. They're fighting over legacy. When you see the Pryor and the Carlin documentaries, you're seeing Chappelle interviewed. When Seinfeld's doing comedians in cars getting coffee, he's talking to all of these guys. They're competitive. Seinfeld has won. He got in and he got out and he made all of the money and he made a #1 show and didn't talk about it in his stand-up special, and everyone thinks he's great. I mean, you might not think he's funny, but he's aged with unbelievable grace. He's almost 70 years old. No, I'm saying some people, like, look, man, there are a lot of
funny people.
There are a lot of people right now dismissing the funny people, the funny old people, because they're not funny anymore, because whatever the reasons are.
In the words of Jerry Seinfeld, you're a cashier.
But you don't think they're going to be competitive about this? You don't think Chris Rock is going to go in there saying, this is a moment for me to, like, it's a pressurized moment live?
But they're graded on the era that they excelled. When people talk about Eddie Murphy as a great comedian, he hasn't done a stand-up special
since Raw.
Yeah. And what do you always
He's
reference?
still the greatest of
you
all time,
reference
though,
Raw.
Mike.
Chris Rock dropped Bigger and Blacker. That's always going to be there. Mitch Hedberg had his Comedy Central stand-up special. They have these seminal pieces of art that they release, and you can always revisit. Andrew Dice Clay had a very short run, but his stand-up specials are revisited because that art is out there. Chris Rock doesn't need to keep going. His legacy is secure.
I disagree. Because what the difference is, let's take Eddie and Mitch. Mitch, obviously, because he passed away, and Eddie, because he just doesn't do stand-up anymore. But they wrote out on top. Like, all right, peace out, right? You want to know what I was like as a comedian? Here's the catalog. The problem with Chris Rock is he's done specials since then, including the one that was on Netflix a couple of years ago. They just aren't quite as good. So there is a feeling of, man, you lost your fastball. So Dan, you're right. I think there is a pressure to be great. But what I'm telling you is, for someone who is as great as Chris Rock has been, there's no way he's like, I need this to be good. All right, 40 minutes on Will Smith slapping me. Right. Like, because his genius was, it would be like saying to LeBron James, hey, this is a must-win game. All right, I better just post up the whole game then. What, you're telling me, LeBron James, I still can't hit jump shots and drive and kick and do all these other things? I have to make it just around the back to the basket game?
If I'm Chris Rock negotiating with Netflix, I'm reminding them I'm Chris effing Rock. I'm not going to tell you what my act's going to be. I'm not going to promise I'm going to mention Will Smith. You take me as I am, or you don't. I think he has that power. I think he has that leverage.
I do think that we're talking about comedians a lot like it's sports, because right now it's just a bunch of men arguing about which man is better.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, Amin has Eddie Murphy going out like John Elway. I mean, it's fantastic.
I'm Chris Rock. I have to make an entire special about slap jokes. Who you crapping?
Exactly. Yes.